Yeah, Joe, you just came off of another Azimuth Chat this morning with Allegiant vets and friends and people that are going through Vector Accelerator. Just first of all, how many people were there?
You know what, dude? I'm so horrible at counting, but I look down and it's like 400 something.
Uh-huh.
And then that's like within 10 minutes of the call starting.
Okay.
But the numbers ramp up
Yeah.
because people are still dialing in as they come in.
Yeah.
But usually it's around 450 to 500 people
Okay.
on one call.
Transitioning veterans who are stressed, who are thinking about what's next, just across the board. Some of them obviously are just dialed in. What's your sense of where they're at collectively with their transition? Like, why are they getting out? What are they, how are they feeling about all that?
Yeah, I love it. And you and I have been working with veterans for some time. And I think a lot of the things that we intuitively knew were there and happening in our conversations and interactions, I just tested it today. I use this tool to kind of gather everybody's input, and it's anonymous, so nobody feels guilty, and it's live, so you can kind of see the results pop. But I asked the questions like, what are the reasons why you're getting out? Just kind of see where their mindset is at, because there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
They're leaving their military career, some of them 4 years, some of them 20 years longer. Some of them are still being asked, like pulled in, hey, don't leave yet. Show us what you're doing before you leave, right? So they're still being pulled back into work. Meanwhile, their family's trying to pull them out on the other side. Hey, what are you going to do next? Where are we going to move to? And all these. So there's this crazy tug of war that's happening.
Yeah.
And I get them for a little bit of time to talk and help them kind of sort through some stuff that's maybe just buried inside. And so I just asked them, hey, what are the reasons why you're getting out, right? So I meet them where they're at, kind of where their mind's at. And it was all over the place. I think some of the answers were just tired of it, just tired of the grind. Not that they were tired of working, but tired of it. And so I'm like, okay, well, who would like to share? And somebody would say, you know what? I'm tired of being away from my family, tired away from being from my loved ones. Some of it was tired of the bureaucracy. Some of it was tired of policy, different, all over the place. Got it. And I wanted to be very careful that this didn't turn into a hate circle, right? Because veterans, we can do that.
Yeah.
Just hate the world and just hate. But then it was like, okay, medical reasons, actual retirement. So that was a great start to the question, the Q&A kind of thing, to kind of dig into what their mindset is. But then I asked them a couple of questions further beyond that. One of them went a little deeper, like, hey, what's a regret? And that's where they really got to unload and share
a regret about their past, like their military experience.
Their military experience within their military experience.
Yeah.
And again, it was all over the map. The last question, though, was the one that I think was awesome to land on, because I wanted to land on a high note. And I actually learned this, I think, in a lot of our conversations that you and I have about who are the people in your life that shape you and have been there along the way.
Yeah.
And how we often don't think about even telling them, hey, you impacted my life.
Yeah.
In a positive way. We've done this exercise a couple of times, and it's always, I would love how you encourage us to do that. And so I'm like, okay, let me pay that forward to these folks. So I asked the question, who's the one military person specifically, who helped you the most in your career? And then I said, what's their name?
Yeah.
And what's awesome is with the tool that I was using to capture their data, it's all these names. So I won't read them.
That's
I
cool.
could read them and nobody would know, unless they're listening. But it was just a list full of random names.
Yeah.
And I had this really cool sense of like, this is like that Hall of Heroes or Hall of Fame kind of thing that you would see on the wall. Like, who are these heroes? Who are these people that did this amazing thing? It was just that kind of feeling. I could get a sense that everybody was getting the same vibe.
Yeah.
Of seeing names.
Yeah.
These are lives. And so I said, okay, who wants to share that story?
Yeah.
And we had some incredible stories. And then it goes back to, hey, when's the last time you talked to them? Do they know that you had that impact on them? And then you just see light bulbs going off.
What are you hoping that does for them?
gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
Optimistic for their future and hopeful for the future, because we've mentioned this numerous times. You have to move forward. You have to sometimes look back.
Yeah.
And looking forward, it hasn't happened yet. The time doesn't exist. That next thing doesn't exist. It's just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look back, there's patterns.
Yeah.
And there's ways that you've connected dots along your life.
Yeah.
And there's been people along the way as well.
Yeah.
And so what can be replicated from that past moving forward, that is probably a good bet to work.
Yeah. Yep. I love that.
I mean, right?
Yeah. I mentioned to you this morning on a different call, but I've been very nostalgic and kind of going through this grieving process of a mentor of mine, personal mentor of mine, he's dying in hospice currently. I was writing a long letter to him last night, and I knew I'd be emotional thinking about it, saying goodbye to him, saying thank you to him. But I had really paragraph after paragraph of, because of you, like, this is how I lead because of you. This is how I treat my son because of you. This is how I communicate. And what I wanted to do was honor him. And what I also realized is so much of him is in me. And as I was just walking through that, it did something for me. So that's why I was asking, like, what are you hoping that did for you? And I don't exactly know what it did for me, but all those things you just said are true. I feel, yeah, I'm in kind of this lineage of impact, and I want to pay that forward. I hope I am. And I hope I honor him in his life. And these are qualities that he brought to me, but also called out of me, modeled for me. So I'm like him, not because he molded me to be like him, but because there was something in me that just like resonated with who he was. So there's something there about like helping people have fixed points to their identity, to the value that they bring by thinking about these people that have shaped them. And I love that you did that.
What do you think about this gentleman? What specific traits did they possess that did it for you? Like what's that list?
Yeah. Part of it was his interest in me. I don't think I'd had or really have had since someone that was so interested in me, what I thought about, my perspective. And he did that personally. He was very interested and curious about my real life, my personal life, but he would, when we ran into each other or we were in a meeting together, he would put me on the spot. Scott, what do you think? Or I remember he would come up to me after a meeting and just say, like, so what are we going to do about this? Like, how are we going to fix this? Or how are we going to move forward? And then he would just look at me like real intently. And I would start saying things. And he's like, and then he would be like, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Let's do that. And then another thing I was telling him is like, he never let me off the hook. So there was a lot of nurture in that. There's a lot of like affirmation he gave me by being interested in me, but he also never let me off the hook. So I am frequently pretty quiet in meetings. I'm not the first to talk unless I'm leading it. I'm fine with that. But if I'm just hanging out, I don't say much. And I can go for a whole day and just be like, well, whatever, but he would come up to me during a break and squeeze my neck with his big hands and just be like, look me in the eye and say, when we get back, you have to say something. And then I'd just be like, yes, sir. And then I would be, for the next 2-3 minutes, just like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And kind of panic and freaked out. And then I would say something, ask a question or say, hey, one thing I was thinking about was, and in a big team meeting, he would be the one that's like, Scott, that was so great. Like, yeah, that's exactly, we need you to, and then he would say it out loud publicly. That's why we need you to talk more. That's why we need you to, engage more. So there's a lot more qualities that I learned a lot about how to be a dad from him, how to be a husband from him, just watching him. He let me into his life, his house, his home, got to hang out with his sons. Like, but there were, I hope I do that now. That just has become natural to be genuinely interested and curious about people. see things in them, reflect it back to them, and then like hold them to really high standards. And that's, as I was writing that last night, I'm like, I want to make sure I do that part, because I think pretty good at naturally just loving people and caring about them. I don't know if everyone would say that, but I feel like that's more natural. But the holding someone, challenging them, telling them we need more from them, that's something I want to make sure I keep stepping into in his honor, and because that's the right thing to do. And I'm at my best when I do that as well. So yeah, he's got a long line. I'm one of many people that he's been like that towards, and I want to make sure I keep paying that forward.
That's beautiful, man. I hear like legacy. I hear honor. The dedication to serving others in a way that they need.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is neat was when we start thinking about the people that impacted our lives, and for the veterans, who's that one veteran that stood up for you, or that maybe pushed you in the deep end when you maybe wouldn't have gone in the deep end on your own?
Yeah.
The transformational leader, or whatever they did.
Yeah.
Those things that were done for you, you needed. And could you be that for somebody else? I think a lot of us can be that, right? And then maybe it's a sense of responsibility as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes in.
I agree. Well, I'd be curious, I don't know if you asked this question, but how many people didn't have someone?
There was one person that put me, myself, and I, kind of like that De La Soul song.
Yeah.
I didn't get too much into it, but it did come up on the call, not specifically with this question, but about some of the hardships and some of the rigor that occurred in the career and the reasons why they're leaving. And maybe some important to this is where they didn't have a person, right? Even with the folks that say they didn't have a person, and I want to say I said this, I say things and sometimes I blank out like Will Ferrell. I don't know what I said. But now that I think about it, I think I did say that when I saw that, me, myself, and I. And it was to the point that I'm saying about our responsibility for others when it happened for you. Sometimes the thing that you needed the most that you didn't get is what you got to do moving forward for others.
Totally. Yeah, don't let that be the reason you don't.
Is that the thing? You know what I mean? Like the thing that you needed the most is sometimes the thing that you're called to do.
Yeah.
And you'd be great at it.
Yeah.
Because you know you need it. You know what it feels like to need that.
Right.
And it never came your way. So there's some of that conversation that occurred. But then also, I mentioned this on last week's call. I've been doing a lot of writing about just life in general, and I'm labeling it the crucible. You have to go through you are in the crucible at all times. And if you don't feel like you are in it now, it's right ahead of you. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
And so how will you respond? Who knows? You might say you're courageous, but you might fold.
Right.
You might say you're wimpy and rise to the occasion. Regardless, you're being shaped and formed in the crucible.
Yeah.
And so if you look back, as maybe crappy as your military career was, let's call it, you're in that category of I hated it. Hey, you're here on this call, therefore you survived. You're here.
Yeah.
You didn't disappear. You're here.
Yeah.
What did you learn? How did you grow? What wisdom are you going to pull from that experience forward?
Yeah.
In a positive way, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. How can you? So it's always like this dovetail. I'm trying to get them thinking positive and hopeful and optimistic. We might go there and point at the zit or point at the hemorrhoid, whatever you want to call it. Because you and I are middle-aged, dude. We can say hemorrhoid. But it's like, how do we turn this around and reframe it? And when we can verbally reframe it, that also does some rewiring in our minds to think more optimistic and hopeful, which is what we're trying to capture through Evie's data, is the hope. That's why we're doing this work. We want them to look at it all differently. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, to just kind of wrap this up with people that have shaped you, developed you, that's pretty rare. My hunch is that that's more common in the military, to have that experience, to have someone develop you and shape you. than the civilian, corporate, nonprofit world. I just think it's pretty rare. There's not a lot of people that understand how to develop somebody, especially on the challenge side. And generally, people are really nice and polite to each other. They might talk bad about each other behind their backs, and chances are they will, or avoid people. But in a work environment, it's really rare, in my experience, to find someone that knows and does it, knows how to develop. So as you're transitioning, you're building a network and having conversations with people. If you find someone like that, my encouragement would be, number one, draw near to them if you can, and number two, if there's a work opportunity with that person, that could be a really great move, whether or not it's the perfect career fit or the perfect job fit. And to not overlook that and assume there might be another mentor, guide, sage in your life, because they are few and far between.
Awesome.
So we'll be back next week or so with another podcast. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Scott.